For as long as I can remember, I have been obsessed with all things astrology. And as a child, I was really into reading my star sign every weekend when I got a magazine from the shop. As I got older, that obsession turned into really starting to understand myself through using my astrological chart. I've had many astrological readings and I've really, really resonated with all of them. And I think each to their own. Not everybody is into astrology. Not everyone believes in it. For me, it has been so on point. It's been really hard not to believe in it because it has been so accurate for so many events during my life. And I mean, everyone can say, well, it could just be a coincidence. There are too many coincidences for me to not believe in this at this point of my life. So for me, that has been something that I have sworn by. It's really helped me understand myself better. It's helped me understand different movements that I've had to make in my life. But something I was more recently introduced to was human design. And human design, similar to astrology, is a way of understanding yourself. And that is exactly why I've brought on a guest expert today to talk about human design in itself, because it is a really amazing modality, specifically if you are an online business owner, to understand the way that you work and the way that you operate. And there's multiple different layers to human design. It's quite a complex thing to looking into your human design chart. But in today's episode, I'm joined by a human design coach, Stefanie Carlstedt, who helps entrepreneurs ditch the rule book, reconnect with their authentic energy, and build magnetic, sustainable businesses rooted in alignment rather than burnout. So her message really aligns with everything that I do in my freedom model method, which is what I teach in all of my programs, my one-on-one, my course, because what she's essentially doing is finding out your unique way of working based on your human design so that you can build a business around that, build the business that works for you. And with my freedom model method, that is the whole principle of that, is finding a way to build a business that works for you. So I actually implement elements of this in the work that I do. It's not necessarily associated with human design, but it is all about understanding yourself better so that you can build a business that works for you, not against you. Now, Stefanie got into human design after she scaled and lost a 6-figure business. She walked through deep grief and burnout and then rebuilt everything from the inside out, using human design as her blueprint. Through decoding her own chart, she helps entrepreneurs get crystal clear on niche messaging and offers that align with their energetic truth. Stefanie is the host of the Magnetic Business Blueprint podcast, and you can grab her free human design reports at stefaniecarlstedt.com. She actually reads my human design today in this podcast, so it's a really good insight into what you would get if you were working with Stefanie or any other human design coach. For me, having this understanding of myself better through human design has really helped me change the way that I work and feel way more in flow in my business than in force, which again is something that I teach through all of my programs. So if you're interested in learning more about yourself, human design is an amazing way to go about that. And we're going to tell you exactly how you can do that in today's episode. I've only more recently discovered human design and kind of delving into that in the past couple of years. So I am super, super excited about this conversation. Do you want to give us a bit of an intro to you, your background, and how you kind of got into human design?
For sure. Okay. So I like to always start out by saying that I have always felt like I don't follow the normal trajectory of life, right? I've always felt like I didn't quite fit in. But my upbringing, I was told to go to college, get the degree, get the job. So I did. I did all of that. And I almost immediately realized that I was shrinking. I didn't fit here. It felt awful, honestly. And the turning point was for me when my dad was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and I realized that I could no longer work in a 9 to 5 job. I needed to get out so I could be with him through this awful disease. And I dove headfirst into online entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years, and it was one of those things that completely changed my life, changed my family's life, and I really understood what it meant to build something of my own. But I had fallen into the trap again of following the normal of business, where I followed the trends and the tactics and the gurus and the virality, and I lost myself in that process. 10 years down the road, I lost my dad, and my business really crumbled at that same time. And I say grief broke me wide open to the fact that I wasn't living the way I wanted to live. Yes, I had this amazing business that was completely crumbling, and I knew why it was crumbling because it wasn't aligned with me, but it was that moment that I realized that something had to change. And my sister-in-law, I always believe that people are put in your life, things happen in your life when you are, needing them to, if you are open to different things, if you're open to a different way. And so she sent me a text and said, "Hey, do you know anything about human design?" And I said, "Yes, I've heard of it. I think it's fluff. I think it's a personality test." She's like, "You need to read it." So was sitting on the couch in my living room. And I remember reading my design, and I remember feeling like I knew myself for the first time and I was okay with myself for the first time. And I'm completely different than the norm of society. And I cried. I really, that moment on, I dove deep into my human design and I knew after learning that, why so many business owners are not successful, why so many maybe even build a business and it crumbles because it's not, they're burnt out and frustrated. And so I've made it my mission to reach back to that community and be like, this is actually what works. Human design, it's the era of the individuality. We have to come into that. Now the other stuff no longer works. So that's why I'm here.
Amazing. I love that. And like I say, I've spent a bit of time over the past couple of years trying to understand better human design, but it's actually one of the things that I've really struggled to understand, if I'm honest. I get when I read my chart or I've had my chart read, I fully relate to like everything that it says, and it makes so much more sense because and we'll dive into this in a bit about a bit more about human design, but I know that I definitely have to lead with like my emotional decisions. And I'm very similar to you. Like I never really fit into the society's norm expectations. I never have, even since I was a kid. I always wanted to be the jack in the box, like the person that kind of like broke the rules and stepped outside of the box that we were put in as society. And I never really understood why. And now again, I built a business based on what I thought I should do, what I thought the people wanted. And then I realized that was burning me out and it wasn't actually doing what it needed to do for me and the lifestyle that I wanted to live. So I fully back everything you said there. Like you have to lean into the things that are going to work for you and the lifestyle that you want to create. And if you can understand your human design to help you get there, that's going to be an extra tool that you've got in your toolbox to help you get closer to where you want to be. So that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And just listening to you talk, I know you downloaded your chart, but I wouldn't even need to look at it to know what you are. And so, yeah, it's so fascinating and cool to really talk to people now and see what they are and what gifts they have and what they're meant to bring to the world. It's so cool. So yeah, it's been life-changing and game-changing for all my clients and myself.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this conversation. So excited. But before we dive into human design, talk me through, obviously you had a six-figure business and then
Mhm.
you kind of rebuilt that based out of the human design. So can you talk us through that kind of transition from letting go of what was and like embracing what was going to be?
Yeah. And it was terrifying, right? It was something that, we had to completely change our lifestyle for a while. But I knew it needed to happen because I couldn't go on the way I was going on. I couldn't go on frustrated, exhausted, resentful almost because I was so misaligned. So when I learned my human design, I am a manifesting generator, a 3-5 manifesting generator. And again, I'm not meant to do things the normal way. I am meant to trial and error my way through life. I am meant to bump into things, fall down more than most people, get back up and shout out what to the world what actually works. And I skip steps, I pivot quick, which is so different from what we are taught, right? For the first 10 years of business building, I did the checklist. I did everything I was supposed to do every day. I post on social media 5 times a day. I'm actually doing a podcast episode on my podcast today about why I decided social media is no longer how I'm going to build my business. And so I've really learned to listen to my authority. Authority is I believe, the most important part of your design. And like you said, you have an emotional authority, which means that you are not meant to make decisions right away. If someone brings an opportunity to you or an idea to you, you are meant to ride out that emotional wave before you make a decision. Because what happens with emotional authorities, which are almost half of us, is, and I heard a podcast the other day that if all the emotional authorities knew they were emotional authorities, this world would be so different. Because if you don't listen to that part of you and you bypass that and say yes really fast, you a lot of times will regret it down the road. and be like, why did I say yes to that? It doesn't even feel good in
Mm.
my body. So that's what I did. I'm a sacral authority, which means that I am gut response, quick, yes, no, and then I'm out. Like I had to retrain myself because I was so inundated with outside forces and outside people telling me how to build my business and the social media gurus and the trends. You just get sucked in. So I really had to shut out the world, learn myself, learn my chart. And the things I do in my business now, like podcasting, is completely different than what I was doing before. And it's so much more aligned. Um, Nobody in my circle, entrepreneurial circle, family, friends is a podcaster. And so I did it I did it blindly, and I've fallen in love with it. So that's really what I did was I started listening to my chart, what felt good, what didn't, what resonated, what didn't. I started marketing the way my chart said to market and et cetera, et cetera. And I've wound up here and it's so much more. I love what I do every day.
Yeah, it definitely allows you to feel so much more empowered in your business and like you're in flow rather than trying to force things to happen. And I love what you mentioned there about you don't want to build your business on social media anymore. I think that's really powerful. I've also taken a very similar stand and I'm trying out so many different ways to market myself and grow my business in a different way that feels way more natural and organic to me because I've always battled with social media. I've literally constantly come up against like, oh, this is sucking my energy. Like I can't keep producing the content that needs to come out for me to actually grow and do something that's worthwhile on social media. But I equally have this like um, conflict inside me, which is like, oh, but it's a great shop window. And like, I have to really like talk myself out of it because I feel like I shouldn't be doing things that don't feel good for me. So I am trying to basically figure out like what does feel really good and how do I want to grow my business and not build on social media and how can I eliminate the fear or the guilt that I feel because we've been conditioned to believe that that is the way to build a business.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm currently in the depths of that process at the moment, trying to figure out how I proceed.
Well, and I've been through lots of trainings, and one thing I can tell you is that the landscape of social media is changing. It's not going to be the same in a couple years. So when we are getting these pings or ideas or whatever to get off of social media or to reduce it to a place that feels good, um, that's our our guides, the universe, God, whatever, teaching us and showing us that, hey, take this leap because this is going to look completely different in a couple years. I believe that 100%. That it's changing. It can no longer go on the way it is. There's a huge gap with trust on social media now because there is so many things that are not real. And so we have to come home to really understanding ourselves and what feels good and what feels good to those that need to hear our voice.
I agree. I think it's all about authenticity these days, isn't it? Like really, that's how you stand out now, which is
Mhm.
crazy. Honestly, if we think about it, like we should all be in our authentic selves. We should all be
Right.
presenting what is true. But no, like that, it's all just got jumbled up in this like mess, honestly. And it's crazy that you now to stand out, you have to be authentic. Like that should just be a standard. But
Well, yeah. And what I was talking about the other day was that again, we have bypassed our authority and our decision making process so much because we have fallen into external validation and societal conditioning and all those things that we don't even realize we're not being authentic. We just mold ourselves into this other specific person that we don't even know. We don't even understand that we're doing it. We're literally losing ourselves blindly is what I say. We are killing ourselves in our business blindly and we don't even know it.
Yeah, it's so true because the more we do things that suck the life out of us, the less
Mhm.
productive we actually are. So
Yeah.
that's very true, and I really love that we've had that sidetrack conversation. But
I
going
know.
back to, I love that. Going back to human design, for anybody that is new to human design or doesn't understand what we're talking about when we're talking about human design, manifesting generators, emotional authorities, can you give us a quick breakdown on what it actually means?
Sure. So I'll first tell you what it's not because a lot of people have misconceptions, myself included, before I started. Human design is not a personality test. It does talk about your personality, right? But it's not like Enneagram, Strengths Finders, Myers Briggs, those types of things, because those things are answered from a conditioned mind. They're answered from a mind that has been through upbringing, trauma, societal conditioning, all those things. And so when you get to those answers, is it really you, or is it something that has been taught to you? So human design is comprised of your birth time, your birth date, your birthplace, and 3 months before you were born. Exactly. And it really kind of spits out this chart. It's comprised of a lot of different modalities, ancient modalities like I Ching and astrology and Vedic philosophy and all these things. But it's really the science of differentiation and really coming home to yourself before the world told you who to be. So it spits out this chart, right? And most people have no idea what that means, which is why I included a PDF and an audio report with my free stuff. But it tells you in your chart how you're meant to move through the world, how you're meant to make decisions, how you're meant to interact with people, your environment you thrive in the best. You have 9 centers in your human design. Some of them are open, some of them are defined, undefined. Every aspect of your life, it explains you. It explains you and how you're meant to, again, move through it, connect with people, interact. And most of the time, my clients feel so seen and validated, and they're like, that is why I've been feeling like this. It's never, this doesn't feel like me. It's, whoa, no wonder. Or, holy cow, how does it know that about me? I think at this point, I've had like 637 people get their chart, and not one has come back and say, this isn't me.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's so great that people resonate with it. And
Yeah.
that, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 4 types of human design, or is there more than that?
It's 5.
There's 5. Okay, can you talk us through the difference of the 5?
Yeah, so 5 types, that's the highest level of your design. There are lots of nuances in underneath that, but the highest level is your type, your energy type. So the first one is manifesting generator, which we already talked about, kind of the trial and error, the non-linear bumping your way through life. You are an energy being. If you're doing what you love, you have a lot of energy. Generators are similar, but they are more linear. They are more step-by-step process. They are what we call the light force of the world. So as a generator, if you are not doing what you love, you have such an open aura that everybody around you will feel that. Just an example, as a generator, you are an energy being too. So you can literally work endless if you're doing what you love. But if you are not doing what you love, you will burn out, and you'll burn out fast. So my husband is in a 9 to 5 job that he doesn't love. And I told him, I said, you got to find something on the side that really lights you up, because the more you can find those gaps and live in your design, even if just for an hour a day, the more opportunities are going to come to you, and the more ideas, you're blocking it off when you're not living in your design. So he took it upon himself to create something on the side, which brought him joy and passion. And then a great job opportunity fell in his lap. And
Oh,
I'm not kidding you. That's happened more than I can count with my clients. So those are those 2. Projectors are the ones that I feel like they have the hardest time with the societal conditioning, because they are not an energy being. They have a penetrating aura where they can really see people and systems better than they see themselves, better than the other people and see themselves. And so when they go to if you're in a business and you go to a big gathering, you might feel hungover at the end of it, because you can feel that energy when you walk in. You only have like 2 to 4 hours a day where you can work on one thing, and then you need to rest. You need naps. A lot of a lot of my projector clients are like, thank you for telling me that, because I've always felt so lazy compared to my husband, who's a generator. And so it's just giving them permission. They need to be seen more than other and validated more than other types, because they can see other people so well. So that's just a very brief description of them. Manifestors are here to initiate new things. They are here to kind of bring the new ideas up. They're really cool. They, also need to work in bursts and then take a rest. And I have a client who is a manifestor, and she's creating this new project within her business, and she has this ebb and flow and this so she's so into it for a week and then she needs to take like a break for a week. And that's just normal. And so and they initiate new things. The reflectors are 1% of the population. I've only worked with one reflector and they really have all energy centers are open or undefined in their graph and they reflect back what they're seeing. They are a chameleon in environment, so their environment is crucial for them to feel fulfilled and successful because they if they are in an environment with lots of negative energy, they will go into that energy. So they reflect things back onto us in the world. So we
Wow.
all have a place.
Definitely. Then I guess they all have to work together, right? So
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
probably teams out there, businesses out there operating with so many different people within all of the different human design types. So
Mhm.
that's super interesting because if you can understand better, particularly if you work in a team, who is, and even in your family, for example, like how somebody operates, is going to be even better engagement between those and relationships between those
Yeah.
people. So it's super cool to hear more about it. And specifically for business owners, then what should business owners, how can they integrate human design into their everyday lives other than choosing something that is obviously going to work best for them? Like, what's the main things that somebody should be looking out for in their human design chart to benefit their business?
Yeah. Well, I think first talking the energy type that I just talked about, again, making sure that it is aligned with you, making sure that it matches your energy. Because if you're overworking yourself, you're going to burn out. If you're working on parts of your business that you hate every single day, you're going to burn out. And so you can outsource it or figure out a different way to work. Use that part of your business, or not. Don't need to do that part, right? Um, and also the authority. I mean, that's the biggest piece. I always tell my clients, go back to your authority. Does this feel good? Are you waiting for that emotional wave to be done? Are you listening to that gut? Are you listening to that intuition? Reflectors have a lunar authority, which means they're supposed to wait 28 days to make a big decision.
Mm.
And so it's just listening to those pieces of you and stop outsourcing your thoughts and ideas to everybody. It's is really important. Mental authorities need to talk about their ideas in order to really feel if it feels good. So find someone that is a neutral for you and not going to give you opinions back, but will listen to your ideas about your business. Uh, and so it really is just about, I mean, there's so many other parts of your design that teach you how to market, teach you who your vibe of tribe is, who you can see the best and who sees you the best when you're aligned and your environment and your superpowers, your purpose, your core four. There's so many areas, but I think authority is probably the biggest one to start with because that's when you're going to start feeling into the more like yourself so you can use every other piece.
That makes sense because that's the way you make decisions, right? So it's like it's the biggest part, I guess, of business. Like running your own thing, you kind of have to make all the decisions. So that definitely sounds like it's the first point for people to start looking at if they're starting to explore their chart. What's the
Right.
bit that you feel like is most overlooked with human design and that people should be looking at, but they maybe just don't recognize that they should or are ignoring it?
Well, it's not really talked about a lot because with human design, typically it's just the energy type, the strategy, the authority. Those are the main things that are talked about. But there's something in your design called what what my mentor called it, what I call it now is your vibe of tribe, which is really the line quality that you see best in people and what they need to hear from you. So it really does teach you what you need to say in your marketing, how you need to show up, your profile, which are your two numbers that you also probably know. You're a 4-6, I believe. Yeah, you're a
Mm.
4-6. Uh, those actually show you how you're meant to put energy and move out through the world and how you're meant to receive it. And so though it's just we've fallen into the marketing the same way that everybody else does, chat GPTing our captions, all the things, and we lose that piece of us. We lose what our sliver of humanity needs to hear because we are not here to help everybody. And that's one thing that you probably always heard. You're not here to help everybody as an entrepreneur, but when you understand your human design, you become so much more okay with that and want to almost repel people because you want the right people for you. You probably all listening to this, if you've had a business for a while, you know those clients you've worked with that you're like, oh, I never want to work with them again. And your design helps you not have to go through that.
Yeah. Wow. So it can be very, very powerful if we fully delve deep into it. And I know
Yeah.
you have had a look at my chart, and we were going to do a quick reading so that anyone listening can kind of relate back to it a little bit more and understand a little bit more about it. So did you want to kind of delve into that a little bit?
Yeah. So you are a manifesting generator also, like myself. You are a 4-6.
Hmm.
So that is your profile, which is comprised of your 4 is on your conscious side, your personality side, your 6 is on your unconscious side. Okay, so the 4 is all about like being a connector. So you're probably really good like connecting people, being in groups of people. That part of your business is really important to you. Um, that that so you're natural at that. Your or your sixth line is more of you were probably in the first 30 years of your life. I don't know how old are you?
33.
Okay, so I mean, you're just coming out of this, but the first 30 years of your life were more about trial and error. They were more of bumping into things, falling down, trying things. Six, after 30, you really start to kind of come up on the roof and you're more of a guide and a leader, and you have probably been through more things than most people have. With the line 6, you are the
Mhm.
only one that has the tripart life, which is again before you're 30, where you're here to learn and from what happened in the past, the trial and error part of it, right? And so that's kind of your 4-6. So you are like the embodied connector is what I like to call you. Uh,
Mhm.
so, and then if you go down to your environment is shores, which I always like to talk to people about. So there's caves and there's mountains, and I tell people you're not meant to live in a cave, right? It's just kind of symbolic of what that means. So shores for you is really like you are not meant to be in the hustle and bustle constantly, and you're not meant to be secluded or a hermit, right? And so you are really meant to kind of be in the middle of that. So that, if you have an office, that might look like by the window, or on the edge of action. So at a park, like on a park bench or something, you know what I mean? On the edge of action versus some of us are meant to be enclosed, like really more secluded than most people. And some people are meant to be high up, altitude wise, like up in their office should be upstairs. I mean, so many cool nuances within, but that's just a brief overview of your um environment. And then for you have the emotional authority, which we did talk about, and then your strategy is to respond, which this is can confuse people. So you are here to not just randomly think of something outside out of the blue, right? Like maybe the initiating manifester. So you are here to, as long as you live to your design, for instance, like I was telling you about my husband, as long as you live to your design and your authority, you will be people will bring you ideas, people will bring you collaborations, thoughts. You'll see something else, you'll listen to a podcast and you'll be like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, I want to run with that." So you are here to get the idea from something external and then respond to that with your authority. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Um,
Yeah.
so that's completely different than the projector who needs to wait for the invitation. And so that is a lot of your design. I don't know if you have any. I mean, obviously I work with my clients for 12 weeks, so it
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
way
yeah.
deeper than that. But it's for you, it's really important for you to talk about like you've been there, so this is why you know what you know, and this is how you do it with that because you do have vibe of tribe line 5. So some of us have the same line as ourselves, some of us don't. I don't, you don't either. So you really need to, have the bold vision that gives people clarity and not fluff, not inspiration, but bold. And that's what people need to
Mm.
hear from you. Yeah.
Yeah, you've made me chills, right? Because every single thing, every single thing you
Oh,
said is like super, super relevant for me right now, especially when you're talking about like the first 30 years. I've learned a lot. I've probably been through a lot more than most
yeah,
people. Fully agree with that. I've experienced a lot. Like I'm quite young, but when I normally enter a room and if I'm doing like a talk to somebody or something, I normally have to preface it with my age because people are looking at me really confused when I talk about the experiences I've had because they think I'm a lot younger than I am. And
yeah,
or like I'm still in my 20s and I'm like, no, I've lived all of these things, but like this is how old I am because people are very
yeah,
confused by that. And I think they don't really understand like how I've been able to have all of these experiences. But I didn't go to university, so like I really was like kicked into life when I was like 17 years old, and I just went
mhm,
out into the world and started doing all of my things. I went to college, did all of the more grown up things very early on.
yeah,
So I definitely experienced a lot before I was 30. And I agree with you, like from 30 onwards, that's where I've kind of been able to step more into those
okay,
powers and like calm down a little bit and not have all of these crazy things thrown at me that I've got to deal with. Obviously, life still lives and there's still things that are happening. And particularly if I feel like I'm living out of alignment, I fully agree with you. Like it doesn't feel right. Like nothing flows. It feels like if I'm not following everything that you've just said that I should be following, which I've learned to follow based on like
yeah,
trial and error more so than the design chart. But now that I've now understand human design a little bit better, it all makes sense, right? It all
yeah,
makes sense. And what you said about the connector part is so interesting because I've always been a connector of people. Like that's always been a
mm,
thing for me. And it used to be with like friends and be like, oh, like I'm going out with this friend, come and join us or whatever. But as
yeah,
I've got older, that's also been more in like a business standpoint. And when I was living in London still, I started running some networking events for e-commerce business founders, which went really well. And I was like in my element when I was running those events.
mhm,
So much fun for me. And then I've moved to Thailand. So I have been going to lots of networking events over the past few years, but never started hosting my own because I've been a nomad for so long that I haven't had a base to
yeah.
do that from. And now I live in Thailand. So
Oh
I've
my gosh,
started
so cool.
I've started networking events here. So I start a co-work. It's actually tomorrow. I do co-working and connection days, so that all the digital nomads on the island can meet each other, come and work together, connect with each other. So I've only more recently, in the past like 6 months, really fully embraced that like connector role, and it's incredible because it's like I can come into this environment and I feel like I do like to be in group settings, but I also obviously like to be in my own energy as well. I feel like I recharge on my own, but I get a lot of life from group scenarios.
Yeah,
Um, so like I love being in that setting and I love being able to be like, oh, this person does this, like you should talk to this person, and off they go and they make friends and like business relationships. So I definitely can see I'm being pushed at the moment to go down that connection route. That is something that's in my future path that I think will venture into business eventually. I already do it a little bit in the stuff that I do with my coaching business and I have group coaching calls and things like that. But I feel like at some point I'm going to be fully pushed into like connecting people in some way. That's going to be the opportunity. And what you said about the shores, also very, very very true. I lived most of my life in like a busy town, a busy city, and I always just felt like it was just the wrong place for me. There was no water, there was no greenery. It was all just like grey, honestly, like
yeah,
city vibes. And then I moved into London, and it was a little bit better because there's a bit more green space um and water and things like that. But when I started traveling and I moved to Bali, for example, what I love so much about where I live now, which is on Koh Phangan in Thailand, is that I'm 5 minutes from the beach, I'm 5 minutes from the jungle. I'm on an island that's full of like events, things happening. So it actually gives you like you've got a city vibe, but I'm
yeah.
in nature. And that for me is like the perfect balance. I could never probably go back to fully city life unless it's got a beach, I think. So everything you said there was like spot on.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing, and also with shores too, so for which I'm gathering that from what you're saying, you're also gonna do really well in both one-on-one and group, stuff, and that feels natural to you to kinda go back and forth. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And like it's crazy. Like I already started, so like I say, I'm very into astrology and um was already kind of like trying to live more authentically, live more in my flow. Because for so many years, like you say, for the first 30 years, I was like forcing things, right? I was really just trying to force things to happen. and failing like so many times over and over and over again. The amount of
Yep.
times I've failed is crazy. And now I feel like I'm so much happier not being is a lot of it to do with environment, honestly. I feel like I'm super, super sensitive to environment. When I'm back in the UK, I change, my personality changes. Like it's so different to when I'm out here, and I feel like so much happier and living my true authentic self. So I'm so happy that I've been able to find all of the things that align for me and work for me. And exactly how you said, it's now about speaking out about the lived experiences and being bold
Yeah.
about that with no fluff. And that's the transition I'm currently making, because I've gone through a massive business pivot in the past 9 months to be
Mm.
able to do that. And now I'm like, okay, it's time to do it. It's time to speak your truth. It's time to be bold. And I'm just like, okay, I'm taking my time with it. Cause like you say, decision making and thinking things through is also something I've realized have to do, because I often used to say yes to opportunities and they was completely misaligned. So I
Yeah.
have to really think about it now. But
Mhm.
slowly but surely, I feel like I'm getting to that place, and it's coming. That part
Yeah.
is on its way.
So exciting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. That was incredible. I loved
Yeah.
that so much. It
Yeah,
was
you're welcome.
so good. And you're a manifesting generator. So
I
how are you currently using your human design in your business?
well, again, going back to listening to my authority, I was so bad about people giving me these ideas or wanting to collaborate with me. I'm like, yes, yes. I said yes to everything. And then that's why I was burnt out. So this is another thing. You hear all the time, people are telling you or say that they're burnt out because of all the things they have to do. It has nothing to do with the amount of things you have to do. It has everything to do with your alignment with those things. And so it's my authority. It's not feeling bad for if something doesn't feel good anymore, just quitting that, even though I didn't quote unquote finish it and moving on. It's not just follow trusting that process that I am meant to fall down more than most people. It really is. That's written in my design, and it's written in my design that 9 to 5 is not for me, and that I will have more failure than everybody else. Like it is what it is, especially as a 3/5 profile. And so it's just embracing that and knowing that my journey is not going to be linear. It's not supposed to be. And most of my ideas are not logical and just to run with them anyway, because they always end up working out if I listen to myself.
100%. If you listen to yourself, it's always going to work out in the end, isn't it? And it's all about like really, I guess it's just another tool to really understand yourself better. And if you understand yourself better, I always say like self-awareness and awareness of anything that's happening in your life or a problem, whatever, that's the starting point for any change that you have to make, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's super important to understand yourself better, whatever modality you resonate most with. I think a lot of people resonate with human design. So if somebody wants to start delving into their chart and looking into their own design and how they can implement that in their business, how can they get in touch with you, understand more about what you do, and get their own chart like you've just read mine?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So first of all, you need to get my chart, my reading. It's all free. Most people charge for all of this, but it's free for now. And you get an audio from me to you based on your energy type for business. And then you also get a 12-page PDF that really explains a little bit more. And then I also created a 5-part audio series where I help you make sense of it all. So I help you look at your chart and know where your authority is, know where to find your profile, your energy type, and what that means in your business. So definitely start there. It's a game changer because you will see why you've been struggling, why you've been burnt out and overwhelmed and not where you want to be. You don't have to be that way. We've been taught and that's normal to be exhausted and frustrated and it's not normal. We are just walking around blindly following other people and living completely misaligned to our soul and our purpose. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's so true. Like if we can tap into those things, it's gonna make it so much easier. So where can everyone find that? It's on your website?
yes. So StephCarlstedt.com/HD report. I don't know if we can put that in the show notes, but
Yeah.
yeah, then my website is just StephCarlstedt.com. with an F.
Amazing.
Up with an F.
With an F. Step with an F. Amazing. Thank you so much. That's super helpful for people, I'm sure. Like, it's a great starting point. And then obviously they can contact you for any more information about working with you as well. And
Mhm.
just before we go, then, one thing I always like to ask is about freedom. Freedom is a massive value for me and being able to create freedom in my life through online business. What does freedom mean to you, and how can it inspire our listeners to have a more freedom focused life?
Yeah, freedom to me is just being okay with who I am to the core and living aligned with every decision I make, every, you know, thing that I come across. And freedom is for me as a mom of four, being able to do what I want to do as a mom and not feel tied to a job, not feel tied to anybody else but myself. Because the more you, again, learn to follow your design and your authority and your strategy, you will understand that you are the biggest cheerleader for yourself. You are the biggest, you know yourself the most, even when you feel like you don't. But when you get to know that, everything that makes sense for you will come to you, and everything that doesn't will fall away.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Amazing. Thank you so much. That's been super helpful and so insightful. And I loved
Yeah,
the little live reading we've just done. That was so cool to hear, and just fully sometimes I feel validated when I hear it hear it from somebody else. So
for sure.
this is all stuff that I'm living through as well. So I'm really, really grateful for that reading. And hopefully anybody that wants their human design chart read will contact you. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Remote CEO Life podcast. If you are ready to build your business in alignment with the way that you work, I actually have an offer for you. I've got a free masterclass that is going to teach you exactly how to build an online business that works for you and the lifestyle that you want to have. It's called Find Your Freedom Model. It is basically going to teach you exactly how to find the skills, the passions, the things that are really going to work for you in business to make sure you build a business that's fully in alignment with who you are. I'm going to pop the link to that free masterclass in the show notes, so feel free to join at any time if you are in the market for building an online business that works for you, not one that you work for. In the meantime, if you love this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platforms, and I will see you next time.